I will start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, our motion today is how was impoverished corrupt. Before I'm going to deliver my argument, I would like to give some responses. There are 2 points of rebuttal, ladies and gentlemen. First, we disagree with the leader opposition's definitions toward the way to impoverish corruption. We never have mean to make corruption, including their fund, to not be able to get additional educations, to health insurance, and so on. We guarantee that they will be able to get additions, educations, and health insurance, and so far. I will integrate it more in my argument. Second rebuttal, we disagree with the argument of deputy leader of opposition that say that on our side, impoverished corruption will give a burden to the state. We think that this is not entirely true. What we need to understand, ladies and gentlemen, the capital that is gotten from this corruption is also will be allocated to the state, ladies and gentlemen. Whether this capital to run the government agenda or even can be beneficial for the society, such as making job fill, additional financial assistance to the poor, and many other things, ladies and gentlemen. However, we still ensure that this corruption will be a burden to the state, and I'm going to integrate it more in my argument. Ladies and gentlemen, our style under this motion is not only to make these corruptors regret their actions, but also to prevent them to have a power and possibility to do corruption. This is also one of the cases that hasn't delivered by the OG. So that's why we have a several complex mechanism that will become our differentiator from OG, ladies and gentlemen. OG mechanisms is to impoverish corruption by just make them regular people, ladies and gentlemen, but to make them such regular people. But under CG, we still want to make it complete with better mechanisms, such as first, we will do tracking mechanism in order to detect where these corruptors allocate their corruption fund, ladies and gentlemen. For example, there is a corruptor who buy a car or a house from its capital corruption and so on. So this is the thing that we want to track in order to do this agenda to impoverish corruption. Second, we will restrict them to work in a state agency such as BUMN, government agency, and other state agencies, ladies and gentlemen. We do that in order to prevent them to have a power inside the government that can create a higher possibility for doing corruption. However, we still conserve with the corruption by allowing them to work in private agencies such as private company, private school, and so on. That is why we think that this is also can tackle the argument from OO that on our side they wouldn't be a burden to the state. There are 2 points of argumentation that I'm going to bring on this debate. First, why this agenda will be better to prevent corruption's case possibility. Second, why this agenda is okay to the corruptor, including their family. Jump to my first argument. Why this agenda will be better to prevent case possibility. We think that it will be able to prevent corruption's case possibility because we think it will be able to eliminate the possibility of corruption, of the corruptors to do corruptions again. Why this is going to be happen? We think that this will be able to be happen because they don't have a power to do corruption again because they already lost money to empower them to do corruptions again. And we can see on status quo, there are many people do corruption because they still have money. In this case, the money is used to the political interest in order to get political interest in order to get that is at the end. In order to have a political interest to do by the corruptors, and will make them see the possibility again to do corruption, ladies and gentlemen. Let's look on other side. The moment when we still stick on status quo. Let's take an example that has been delivered by the opening opposition's mechanism. The opening mechanism, in this case, they will do rehabilitation toward the corruptor. We think that this mechanism is not an effective way to prevent corruption or even to make this corruptor regret, ladies and gentlemen. Why? We think that the rehabilitation mechanism is suitable for the person who has a mental issues. But in this case, this is a different case with the corruptor, ladies and gentlemen, because most of the corruptor or even all of the corruptor do corruption not because they have a mental issues. They aware what they do and they realize what all of the corruption they has done, ladies and gentlemen. So bringing the case to bring rehabilitation under the motion is going to be irrelevant. Jump to my second argument. Why this agenda is going to the corruptor, including their family. We think that the corruptors still can be survived because they still can afford income from the private company, the place when they are working, ladies and gentlemen, such as we already bring on our mechanism, still allowing them to work in not in state company but in a private company, ladies and gentlemen. And let's see what happened on their family. We still that their family is not going to be harmed, but they still can be okay because under status quo they still get decent educations because decent educations also health insurance, so on and so forth. Because status quo still allow them to get decent education such as 12 years compulsory study, scholarship, and also prosperity from health insurance and so on and so forth. That's why under OG we proud to propose this motion. Thank you.
I'm going to start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Finals, let's see on how actually this debate looked like. We believe that both sides want to achieve the same goal. For instance, you are going to stop people from doing corruption, right? That's why we believe our two opening bench try to bring the mechanism for solving this problem. But let's see on how opening bench look like. Number one, they only argue why impoverish corruptors, whether it's good or bad, and second, they only still consider this impoverished corruption as the humanity thing. When you're is paralyzed humanity, when you're going to make people become poor at the end of the day. But what you need to understand that this debate is not just like when you're going to say this is bad or good, but what we are trying to talk, what we are trying to argue here, how actually our mechanism is going to really stop these people from doing corruption. And second of all, both opening sides want to bring the idea of rehabilitation, where we think it's very unrealistic under the world right now. Let's see on how OG bring their rehabilitation. OG want to impoverish these people to be a regular people, as these people can understand how we run our life. But we think that it's not going to. It will never be effective to stop these people from doing corruption, ladies and gentlemen. Why I'm going to explain it later. And second, the idea of rehabilitation from opening opposition that I'm going to elaborate in my rebuttals. And lastly, we need to understand that why people doing corruption, like Rashid have told you, that people keep doing corruption simply because they want money, or in this case, they need power, ladies and gentlemen. And we believe that the power from the corruptors are from money and the opportunity that they get inside the government. That's why these people keep doing corruption simply because they want money, and second, they always get the opportunity to do or to commit corruption. Engaging to OG. Let's see. Number one, OG is trying to achieve the goals that they want to make these people who commit corruption regret what they have done. But they never explain why when these people is going to regret what they have done in the past, will success to prevent these particular people to stop doing corruption. And second, the mechanism that OG only takes assets, fine, and should give payback towards the country, but we think it's not enough to solve this problem, and it will just create more poverty. That's why, like OO have told you, that's why under closing bench, those assets, fine, and payback will be used to replace the money that have been stolen. And second, we are going to manage those money to open more work field for poor people that have become the victims of corruption, and we are going to capitalize this money for the betterment of poor people. Like for example, we are going to open more training and jobs field for these people that jobless, and we're also going to manage our money in terms of education and how to, like for example, we are going to build more school, or we are going, for example, to create a better health treatment in the hospital, for example. And that's why we are going to achieve win-win solution, ladies and gentlemen. And lastly, they bring the idea of payback. We think that OG should not bring this thing, ladies and gentlemen. Why? Because it less humanity and ruin democracy. Why, ladies and gentlemen? We think that when you're going to pay something that you have never done, like for example, even if you're commit corruption, for example, and then you are punished and you're get punished, and then you have to pay back for over 100%, we think it's very less humanity because what he have done is corruption, ladies and gentlemen. That's why taking their assets and give fine, it's enough, ladies and gentlemen. Like in this case, we are also already give impoverishment. That's why payback is now needed, and we think that's going to ruin the democracy. Why? Because democracy simply because when what you have done is like you have to take responsibility for what you have done, meaning that in the equal way, right? So rebuttals for OO. Number one, OO want to stick to the status quo and give more rehabilitation towards these people that already commit corruption. We think that status quo is not enough with this young one. Why? Let's see on how they're going to jail these people that commit corruption. Let's see on how the case of Gayus Tambunan or, for example, Setia Novanto. We think that even if they are going to jail, they still get a better jail, for example, like hotel, for example, in this case, because they already have money. That's why when still these people have money, they still can get a better life in this case, even if they are going to jail. And also, even if you are going to take fine from them, as long as they have still more money in their safe or in the banks, still this fine can be paid. And let's see, in the idea of rehabilitation, two things, ladies and gentlemen. Number one, they never explain what is actually they are going to do inside their rehabilitation. And second, rehabilitation will never work when dealing with human desire, in this case money, ladies and gentlemen. Why? Three things. Number one, money fulfill your needs. Meaning that when you're going to fulfill your needs, still you need money, right? Second, money give happiness. As long as money give happiness. When you're going to buy something that you really want, or when you're going to do something that you really want, that meaning that you need money, right? And then this something bring you happiness. That's why we think that to achieve your happiness, you need money, right? And lastly, money is very different from drugs, ladies and gentlemen. They want to put these people who commit corruption like a drugs addict, ladies and gentlemen. You need to understand that drugs addicts still can distract their attention to other people and not consuming drugs anymore, simply because they have something to do, right? They have something that can make them comfortable or calm. But let's talk about money. Money, you will always deal with money, ladies and gentlemen. When you're going to buy something, when you're going to fulfill something, you need money. Meaning that you cannot distract your mind from money. Going to our worst case scenario. Let's see, in our worst case scenario, we think that even if you're going to impoverish these people, even if fact is going to get from their family, still their children still can go to school because we have a regulation that that children should go to school for 12 years, right? And second, their family still can get job, meaning that they still can collect money from for example the wife that still go to work. For example, they still can achieve money. That's why we think that our worst case scenario is still very, very okay rather than the worst case rather than the opposite of the house. Very proud to propose here.